passing through it. And also, it can be noted that there isn't really much there along their business district, which is along McMillan Street. So my proposal is to use some of the resources that are there in the form of vacant properties and the excellent accessibility, because it's traversed by 3 or 4 of the most heavily traveled routes in Cincinnati. Those being Taft, McMillan, Gilbert, and I-71. And to build off of those assets to create a community, a desirable community that boasts a great business district and just amenities that create a neighborhood that's one of the premier neighborhoods in Cincinnati. So I started off with this context diagram just to give some perspective on what the introduction of a TOD could result in. And as you can see, to the south would be downtown jobs and institutions. And to the west of this would be uptown, which are the 2 largest employers in Cincinnati. And with the potential of the light rail running adjacent to I-71 and a potential streetcar route coming up Gilbert, that could provide very good connections in terms of making Walnut Hills a good location for business or residential uses. So building off of that, I then kind of zoomed in to the actual neighborhood business district, which kind of lies roughly between Kemper and I guess I-71. So along there, I noted some of the vacant properties that could be essential in the redevelopment of that for the creation of the TOD. The TOD would be centered pretty much on just off of Gilbert, currently where the block with the PNC Bank is. And I know that block has PNC Bank, a Wendy's, and 2 or 3 larger buildings. Some businesses that are on the ground floor. I think there are residences above them. But it calls for the redevelopment of that block and with the placement of a transit hub, which could take many different forms, and also mixed-use buildings with mainly office above them. And not that I would be getting rid of any of the uses that are there right now, but what the potential development could absorb those businesses and also introduce new ones that kind of would consolidate that block. So I also over here, this type of coral color, I kind of documented the existing neighborhood assets in the business district, which would be the Kroger, the school, the rec center, this office building here with the Walnut Hills Redevelopment Center. Some businesses along here, the meat shop, the daycare center, the library. And I noticed that a lot of those are kind of scattered, and within the business district, the vacancies are more prevalent. So with the introduction of a TOD, that would to bring in more transit relevant uses that would be favorable and attract more residents and businesses to locate there, I would say that it would create a more cohesive neighborhood. So I then looked at this diagram, which is basically an abstraction of what it could be. So the green belts represent potential businesses and other uses that would just make it a cohesive unit instead of the kind of scattered state that it's in right now. I also looked at the future land uses that could be, and it proposes lots of mixed-use development along McMillan with structured parking and a concentration of commercial / retail uses along McMillan to the west, to the east of Gilbert. And some of these uses included housing, a diverse use of housing, mix of housing, sorry. And when I was talking to the community members, they let me know that in Walnut Hills there should be no displacement, pretty much. So there's room for the absorption of any any displaced residents. And I think that it would be a good idea to house those residents within this commercial corridor, which would kind of place them in a very unique situation where they could be able to maybe be employed to get their needs met, their financial services, their daycare, neighborhood service, essential neighborhood services, while also still being in close proximity to this transit hub that could also take them to regional destinations, be it downtown, be it uptown, and with the connection to the potential light rail, which would be over here, they could also have a wider regional access to places such as Dayton or maybe even Columbus. So I use this example of California down here just to show what could be in terms of the typologies and station design. And station, I specifically didn't include station design on here because I'm not an architect, so I didn't want to attempt to design that. But in my studies, I learned that it could take the form of just a collection of stops, or it could just be an actual larger structure that housed not only, you know, a ticketing booth or office, but just other commercial uses, maybe office above it, and that type of thing. So